Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is Franz Sidney. So, welcome to Create with Franz, to create the life that you want and you deserve. And today we're going to focus on a really interesting topic. Of course, I always say that this week and every week, but it has to be after 200 episodes to keep you all there. And this is a topic that really goes with women. And what happens when you are going 40 and you realize that you're tired, like all the time? Does that happen to you? It happens. And then you're stressed and you're really, really stressed. Cortisol level are sky high. And we're going to talk about what happens when you become weaker and weaker and more tired. And yet your diet is the same, your exercise effort is the same, and you are just putting on weight and not where you want it. It's not coming here. No, it's going down below to your hips. So if that is your problem, listen up and stay tuned, because today we're going to talk to Nerys Jones from Wales, and she's going to tell us all about how to fix the issue. So are you ready for this? So welcome again and welcome to the show, Nerys. Hello.
Hi, Fran. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We had a long chat before this, and I found out, that is so, it's not just me. Everyone puts on weight or feels tired, and not everyone. Women, biological women who have something called hormones that are changing and everything going on. At 40, we started to notice these problems. And Nerys is super qualified to tell us about all sorts of sides, the energetic side. So we're going to talk about energy healing and emotional healing, so hypnosis. And then she being a pharmacist as well, she has a lot of knowledge of what else can be going on. But so she's got a scientific mind, but also she's soul aligned and she knows all that's going on there. And she teaches Pilates, so she knows exactly what to do to get you up and running and to forget about all this continual tired feeling that drags you down and makes you lose the habit of doing exercise, which, as we know, is very important. So I would like to say hello and thank you for coming here. And I would like to start with the symptoms. What is the usual symptoms that you get from your clients who are on Zoom or in person? And so you can work with the whole world. What does this woman come with you with? What is the list of concern? What's the shopping list there as well?
Well, where do we start, Franz? So basically, they come, they're exhausted, they're really frustrated because the things that they were doing in their 20s and 30s are no longer working. They're doing more and more cardio and they're eating less, but the weight is piling on, these extra pounds around the belly and the hips. They're also, they just feel like they don't know what's going on in their lives in general. Like, women over 40, they start to question everything. So that's another thing that they can. They also have lost a bit of their confidence because they're no longer fitting into their clothes that they love. And they're feeling very sort of vulnerable around like their partners and things because their looks are changing in a way that they never felt that was possible. And they feel like their body is slightly out of control.
Just slightly. Yeah. So that's a lot of problems. So if you go to the doctor, it's going to tell you, oh, just lower your carbs. And if you're feeling low, just take some antidepressants. But really what's going on as your estrogen level goes down, your progesterone level changes, there'll be some changes. And maybe it's a good idea to talk to your doctor about those changes. And some people will be interested in trying HRT. However, there is also an emotional reason for this. And there are some cortisol connected reasons. So when your clients come over, how do you assess? Do you have a preliminary chat? What happens then to find out what's the problem?
Yeah, so I have initial chat with them, find out what all their symptoms are. I make sure that they have seen the doctor and they've spoken to them. They might have had their levels checked. And then from there, we just figure out what's going on with them and what we can change. So initially, it's just the symptoms, really.
Mm-hmm. The symptoms are not the problem, are they? They're just telling you there is something to dig in. And so what is the usual problem that you will be tackling first? Or maybe the symptom?
Yeah. Okay. So I'll use one of my clients as an example. So Mel came to me and she was 10 pounds overweight. And again, she was doing what she thought was all the right things. So she was quite frustrated. So the first thing we do, like you said, all the things that they come initially with are just symptoms. We all know that. But what we need to find is that root cause of the issue. And to do that, obviously, I use hypnotherapy, as do you. So we use the power of the mind. We unlock that issue in the subconscious mind, find out what the cause is, and then help that mind release that limiting belief and the issue. And quite often, as you know, the problem that they think that they've got is not really the root of the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. The problem is never a problem. So the problem is not having a panic attack, but it's the belief that is carrying that thing until your body believes it and will create a panic attack. So in this case, so does it mean that they come to you and in 1 week they're back to normal? What happens? What is the process?
Yeah, so the process is basically I work with them for 6 weeks, but the initial session is a hypnotherapy session where we really dig in deep and get to the root of the issue. Then once from there, what we then do is we start working with them, getting them moving. So getting them doing the Pilates, which is brilliant because it's such a good form of exercise. It tones the body, but it's pretty gentle. So if you've got any neck, shoulder, or back pain, which a lot of women over 40 are suffering with, it's an amazing exercise. So we do that with them, but I combine that as well with the energy healing. So I give them a program then. I work with them every week to do the Pilates and the energy work. I give them the homework and then they go ahead and they do the work. And then we meet up once a week. And in the meantime, they send me messages and we resolve any problems that come up. Also around the mindset as well, because the mindset, as you know, is essential. So that's how it works. And there's a lot of mention about Pilates now. It's kind of a buzzword. But what I want women to really realize is not everything that you see on social media is actually Pilates. So there's a lot of influencers out there. They're calling it Pilates, but it's not actually the proper, correct Pilates. Proper Pilates, yeah. The proper Pilates has got certain parts of your body moving and certain parts being nice and stable. And then the whole reason for that is when Joseph Pilates designed Pilates, it was to help people improve their quality of life and get out of pain. And what's happening is people are not doing the exercises correctly and they're actually continuing in that pain cycle or making the problem worse. So I just wanted to mention that because for me, it's mind-blowing that people are getting away with calling things Pilates when it's not.
I think that's a major point because, of course, you can create mechanically a problem. And that's why I think it's important to have that person there telling you. Like when I went to the gym for a few years, there was a trainer telling, don't put the leg this way, don't lift the weight because it's going to hurt. And then you learn how to do it correctly so you're not hurting yourself, because injury causes more issues than you want to deal with, of course. And I was listening to a Huberman Lab podcast yesterday. It was all about biomechanics. And there was this professor of biomechanics, I think it was Washington or something, it was on Luminars. And he was saying, you certainly do not want to inflict injury because injury is asymmetric. So most times you don't get injured like both hands or both eyes or both legs. You do one part. So your body will, of course, trying to get to the perfect stability. It will try to tweak everything else, and you will get a problem maybe starting your foot, then goes to your knee, goes to your hip, and then you end up having backache, neckache, and migraines, and you will never think they're connected because the body is trying to reach the state of homeostasis, isn't it? It's very important to align yourself when you do the exercise. You have neutral areas and areas that are working. And something I learned yesterday was there's an age after which you have to be very careful not to do so much exercise. You're burning in the muscles, feel amazing, but you're not thinking about your joints. He said, once you wreck your joints, they're wrecked. We can't fix them just like that. They'll be artificially. So it's important after the age to choose the exercise that is good for your quality of life that you have, but also thinking about the future. You don't want to wear out those knees and those hips because then you will need a replacement or you will be in pain. So thank you so much for making this very important point. Don't get hurt. Follow the proper exercise and not just an influencer who might be amazing, and for their body, that's all right. But they might have different spine with lots of liquids between the disc, and you don't have that. Genetically, you're not predisposed to do certain exercises. So thank you so much. Okay, next, you told me a lot about cortisol and stress and how they are connected. Let's delve into this.
Yeah, so basically, the cortisol levels rise as the hormones levels get out of imbalance. So basically, the cortisol levels increase as the hormone levels become unbalanced, which is, so then your cortisol levels are rising, but then that's an added issue when you're stressed, because when we're stressed, the cortisol levels are high anyway. So when you've got stress and then the added cortisone increase over 40, you're in the dangerous levels of really high cortisone and you don't realize it. So one of the problems with high levels of cortisone is that you're going to be getting this sort of tummy issues and thigh issues, because all of the weight then starts to accumulate around those two problematic areas. And then what I think is one of the major things that I would like women to know is that you might not feel stressed. That doesn't mean that you are not stressed. And I can personally vouch for this myself. I used to just live in a world of constant stress. And I used to think I actually was slightly addicted to stress, if I'm honest now, looking back. But I didn't feel stressed. I was always go, go, go. You know, there's this to do, this deadline, etc., etc. Life is busy for us. You know, we're bombarded with information, social media. Everything is so quick. So just because you might not feel stressed, it doesn't mean that you're not stressed.
You know what? That's a really great point. And even with Helena, who was also from Wales, I was interviewing her before, there was a point of this thing that we have to continuously go, go, go is really not good for our body and for our mind. And eventually, I always say that people will be tired of hearing it, but when you are on your deathbed, it will not matter. What will matter will be your connections, your friends, and what you've done with your family, the type of relationships you have. All the rest will be not important, you know? And yeah, we could go forever. But you talked about body sculpting as a way of enhancing self-confidence. So we're not talking about being the Kim Kardashian or being a model for Instagram, but just feeling better in your own skin, whatever that means to you. How does exercise, united with maybe energy healing and hypnosis, help you to feel better with your own skin? Exactly what happens?
Yeah, okay. So with Pilates, it's a mind and body exercise to start off with. So you're already going to feel better when you start doing Pilates, but it's also going to tone the body. I think a lot of people, they focus on trying to lose this weight, but then actually missing the point. They're not toning the body. So that's one of the main key things. The second thing is I always add in light weights, because women over 40, they start to lose their muscles. And that's when you bring the weights in to try and keep those muscles. That's one of the things. Also with Pilates, it gives you that longer, leaner body. So yeah, it really does make a difference. You look slimmer because of the tone, the way you're also carrying your body, because it improves your posture. And as we all know, improved posture is also going to give you that increased confidence, because confidence is always affected by how you're carrying yourself, how you're moving yourself. You'll always notice people with low confidence levels, they're always hunched up, they're trying to protect themselves, whereas confident people standing up tall, they're looking ahead, you know, they're open to the world. So they're a few of the reasons. But yeah, I mean, Pilates is just amazing. It's going to increase your mobility. It's going to increase your energy. It's really going to give you that core strength as well. And the core strength just gives you that added zest and for life and confidence. So yeah, I mean, Pilates is amazing, but like I said, it's not hard on the body. And going back to that cortisol level, Pilates is gentle, nice. It really lowers that cortisol level. And that's why I tell clients to stop doing all this heavy cardiovascular exercises. Like you mentioned, it can cause issues with their joints, but also that also increases their cortisol levels. And I think people don't realize that, it's much better to add in Pilates and do some nice gentle walking. You'll get better results in the end and you'll stay pain-free.
Yeah. And I think that the good thing is it's an investment. So many people will say, well, I can't really afford a hypnosis session, energy healing session. I cannot afford Pilates. But the thing is, can you afford the medical bills later? Can you afford, it's an investment, isn't it? Can you afford later to be stuck watching television because you can't move anymore? Because, of course, once you start piling on the weight, the cells, isn't it incredible? They have all this insulin mechanism. They attract more fat cells in that area and the enlarged cells. So you might have cellulitis, which God knows how terrible it looks. We are like, oh, what is that? You can have cellulitis being thin as a stick. You can be 12 cellulitis, but it gets worse as you get older. Sedentary life, lymphatic drainage is not happening. You don't exercise because you feel, oh, it's painful. So that's where the investment comes through, because it's not about looking perfect or having the Botox or having a body all like this. All obviously people on the podcast, we have no idea, but I'm gesticulating like mad. Just imagine that. But it's different when you look at your own husband or partner and you feel like you can have your clothes on, they fit you. You just feel more confident, and therefore I think it's more relaxing. And later on, when you can stand up from the chair without going, oh, I think it's not just an added bonus. That's how you want to age. So I think Pilates seems to be one of those exercises. You can keep going, using it until you are probably a later stage, adjusting to your level. And it would be a great way to start. So what happens to your client as they embrace this program? How do you pick them up if they don't really like exercise at all? If you're like, oh, I hate exercise, is that hypnosis helping there at all?
Yeah, so the hypnosis can get to the root cause of why they don't like exercise, because obviously when we came into the world as a baby, as a child, we loved to walk and run around and things. So there's something happened in the mind to make them not like exercise. And also it depends on the type of exercise they've tried as well, because I think people are doing these cardiovascular stuff, they're doing this HIIT. Some women are doing really heavy weightlifting. Great if it's working for them, but not everybody likes it. I personally don't like heavy weights. I feel lighter weights are better for me. I feel more feminine doing it and I feel more energized doing it. So I think it's a personal preference, but the hypnosis can definitely help them. And the other thing is, I feel like if they really want to make the changes and have that healthy body that we've discussed about, they have to be prepared to actually change their beliefs as well.
Yes, the beliefs are behind everything, aren't they? And there was another, I can't remember, it was Huberman Lab now. I can't remember. There's a musculoskeletal specialist lady, and she works a lot in geriatrics. And she said, what people have in geriatrics when they become old is that because they stopped moving, they stopped exercising, now everything is painful. And therefore they even more are not interested in starting anything. And yet it is now when you're 30s, 40s to get started with these exercises. So you transition into a middle-aged person, then almost older, then older, the person that can move. Therefore, your mood gets better. Isn't it incredible? So we start talking about muscular health, body posture, and being firmer, feel like you have command of your body. But in the end of the day, the fact that you do not need 24-hour care because you can move, that is massive. Absolutely massive. And I do know. No, go ahead.
one of the other things I wanted to mention is, like, I've got clients in their 80s that come to my actually in-person classes, and they're doing so amazing. But what's really important for them, not only the mobility, but the balance as well. So we do balance exercises, and they're able to get off the floor, which is essential when they're older, because if you fall, which a lot of old people tend to do, they're then able to get up off the floor. So that's one important thing. And I also do a lot of mobility exercises with the feet, because as people get older, they not able to mobilize their feet, and that's when old people start to shuffle.
See, that's another point I've been looking at with geriatric stuff this week, and it's so important to know how to achieve your balance and how to go from a sitting down position or laying down position up. And there is somebody on the internet and YouTube, some two very famous physiotherapists called Bob and Brad.
Oh yeah, they're great.
And I watch them, and they always say, go down on the hard floor, sit there, and trying to put yourself in a position where you can stand up, just using your hands. And you have to do it all the time. And by repeating this, as we very well know with hypnosis and NLP, you will reinforce this muscular memory, so you know how to get up. And I will always remember some years ago, I was in a meeting with lots of ladies, and one of them was wearing high heels, and she was 74-ish. And then it was a slippery maple floor, and she suddenly fell. She was just doing one step. And when she fell, I will always remember, she was right there on my right-hand side, and she fell and she stayed there all stiff. She couldn't move anymore. We had a paramedic came over, checked her out, and then eventually turned out she had a little hairline fracture to the hip. And later on, she did have more problems. She fell many times and she broke the hip. And this is one of my many friends who 70, 80, they fall, they break their hip. So why do we want exercise? Because it helps your mind, helps your mood, lowers the cortisol level, gives you confidence, make you feel firmer and stronger. And it helps you, so you will not be falling that easily. But when you do fall, you're more confident with your body. You don't have a panic attack and you're on the floor, oh my gosh. And you can get out. And if something has happened, you can walk or crawl to some mobile phone and call for help. But you are a lot more able to recover if you had any fracture, because all the musculoskeletal health was taken care of. So how important it is to take care of it. So I'm really glad you came to the show, Nerys, because that's eye-opening to know at 30, 40s, we can avoid and avert these very serious situations. It's very, very important. So let's say that I am one of these women. I'm 59. Yeah. I'm still doing my gymnastics. I'm good. I love it. I love roller skating. Yay.
Wow.
But yeah, I still, I haven't gone for like a month now because moving abroad. But
yes, because
I still think it's a great thing. You have to be fearless and do some, unless you have a medical condition that stops you. So we're not saying throw yourself there, no. You have to work within your limits. So let's say that I'm this woman. I have a problem. I feel like I'm tired and not getting there, anxious, maybe not anxious, but kind of feel I'm not quite there. And I feel like my body is not doing what it's supposed to do, although I'm really doing everything I know. What will be the first step that I can go home today with and say, right, I can start with this today. What can I do now to get out of the chair and feeling mobile again?
Okay, so the first thing you can do, I would work on the cortisol levels before you do anything else, because that will really help you feel a bit better so that you can then feel ready to exercise. So a nice, really easy exercise where you can do anywhere is you can just grab one of your hands, place it on your forehead, and then from there, you're going to take a nice deep breath in through the nose, nice and slow, and then exhale through the mouth. And you do that about 4 or 5 times. And then after doing it, you'll notice you feel a lot calmer. You can also do that, and you can grab the second hand and place it under the back of the skull, in that little indent there. So if you hold both points, that's going to help all of the hormones balance out. So they're too nice. They seem so easy, but they are really powerful. So those are two little things that you can do today to start helping yourself. And then from there, you can start exercising. I always tell my clients, don't start thinking, oh my God, they're short on time. So a lot of my clients get in their own heads and they're like, oh my God, I haven't got the time to do this. But actually, if they do 5 or 10 minutes every day and just work their way up, because you and I both know that it's more important to get in the habit of doing something consistently, and then you can increase the duration. So usually you need to do things for at least 90 days consistently to get in that habit, and then it becomes part of your life.
Yes, it's a good thing. It's a habit. We are people of habit. We're creatures that like to repeat the same stuff. And it's a great new habit, the habit of caring about yourself enough that you drop everything. And I know very, very busy people. I am busy. Everyone is busy. There is no excuse. You might have children that are still young and all sorts. I mean, I had my baby when I was 43, so I wasn't thinking about age. I was having another baby. I was quite happy, So what do? We want to look at this as a challenge to really love ourselves enough to drop whatever we're doing that we're wasting time on, which happens. So everyone say, I'm busy. How many hours a day are you scrolling social media? How many hours a day are you watching movies? How many hours a day are you just sitting there eating, maybe, or just working, and never stopping. But it has to be a point in the day when you have 10 minutes that you're thinking about your health and invest in the time. So when you're older, you don't become a weight to the society, because that's what happens if we don't take care of ourselves. Pretty much you're going to be unable to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like the 10 minutes now, even if you are busy working, if you take 10 minutes out of your day to do the exercise, you're actually going to be more productive and more focused then for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And if you're caring for children or grandkids, you're going to be more present with them having done the exercise.
Yeah.
So actually, I think it's a really good investment of your time.
Yeah.
And, you said about not being a burden to the society, but also, you've got to think about when you're a grandparent, you want to be able to, keep up with your grandkids.
That's a good point. And this is not to say that there are no conditions where you simply find it really difficult to exercise. There is plenty of stuff you can do when you are, I'm not saying paralyzed completely, because if you're paralyzed, but there are lots of things you can do. I have friends who play basketball from their wheelchair, So there's a lot of mindset in there, and also knowing your limits. So if you are disabled and you're feeling all these problems, there could be something there that you can still do. Maybe the mindfulness part, the energy part. Maybe you can only lift one arm, but if that's what you can do and you do it, it might take you to just feel better overall, because that's in your potential. And the important thing is not to compare myself to somebody else who might be taller or heavier, weaker. Why do we compare? We don't need to be anyone else.
Exactly. And I think with social media, we compare, but we don't actually know what half of the things, if it is the true reflection of that person, because now there's so much filtering and there's so many photoshops and things. So we do have to really question what we're actually seeing.
Yeah.
And we also don't know what other people are going through. That's the other thing.
Yes. And also some people will achieve remarkable results because of an amazing genetic makeup and or huge amount of exercise, huge amount of injection, Botox, whatever that you think they're all perfect naturally, but sometimes they added all these new cosmetic procedures and you think, oh, they're exercising so well. Well, are you sure? Or are they just like that because they have used these derma rollers or injections or whatever? So you can't really know how they achieved that because they're only telling you a portion of a story. So it's important just to say, right, that's what I can do now. That's me. And I can start by lifting a finger, and then I can do the whole hand and I can start there. So there is always a hope. We can get better. We can feel more relaxed. And we as women tend to give and never stop. So sometimes we don't realize that we also deserve a little bit of love and compassion every day and give ourselves a gift of love and self-care that we give so freely to everyone else, don't we? So
Yeah. And I think that's what contributes sometimes to some of the issues, that when we do hit 40, you know, our bodies are screaming out for a little bit more attention from us.
and we don't give it because we are too
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good message. So take care of yourself, love yourself enough to get out of that chair and move move into life. I actually have a book called that. It's important to move, to breathe, to be out in nature, to reconnect to yourself. Some people say spirituality, connect to God, connect to nature, do something good for yourself, and you will be a happy person, or happier than you are. So I just wanted to say thank you, Nerys, because it's been so enlightening to talk to you and learn all the stuff we can do now, even Pilates. I'm very excited. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been my pleasure.
It's been great. And everyone, if you want to see where Nerys is, she's based in Wales, but she will be very, very happy to work with you via Zoom or whatever other video platform to guide you into your own path of healing or feeling better, managing your symptoms. So you can find her. We're going to put links and description of whatever she offers behind in the episode description. So you'll be able to ask her any questions. If you have any emotional blocks, both me and Nerys are able to give you an RTT session or conversational hypnosis or whatever it is that you need, so that you can get out and say, right, I can actually love exercise. So I hope you're going to share this episode with all the women in your life who want to feel better. Do so, and maybe subscribe to my channel. And then I hope to see you all soon next week. So thank you very much. Take care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.